Welcome, everybody. I am not muted. I appreciate everything working correctly today. We're on episode 13. We're at a baker's dozen. Huzzah! For the Hoard of the Dragon Queen. Thank you for joining us today. Hey, Cozy. Thanks for lurking. Hey, Raven. Thank you for joining us live. If anyone else out there that hasn't been chatting, hi. We are on a time schedule today, and we have a lot to get through, so we're going to jump into it. Let's do a quick recap. Last time, Aster had been whisked away to the Tower of the Talon to find her parents and meet with them, as they had expressed worry over what had been going on, and they wanted to see you. Your adopted, not adopted brother, Barlow, who thinks he's adopted, acts like he's adopted, but isn't actually adopted, had been sent to the raider camp where the Cult of the Dragon had been kind of working. Hello, sweet P1828, thanks for joining us. The raider camp where everything had been kind of coalescing for the raiders, the ransackers of villages and such. You teleported with Barlow to the tower. We're heading down into the depths, and that's kind of where we left off with you. Meanwhile, the rest of you had returned to the raider camp after searching for the escaped prisoner, or prisoners rather, but specifically the half-elf that you had captured in the town of Greenest. After not really finding them, but finding their trail that led back down the high road, probably towards Greenest, you had decided to return. You discovered that Aster had been absconded with, possibly teleported to the Tower of the Talon, and therefore Langdedrosa, the blue half-dragon that had kind of one of your leaders, had words with the other leaders and decided to teleport you there to find out what was going on, as there are those who feel it is possible that the Draco Lich Anabraxis might be having some issues with this splintering of factions, this new direction that a large portion of the Cult of the Dragon is heading. Instead of worshipping Draco Liches, you are now trying to bring back Tiamat, the mother of chromatic dragons. Does that all sound right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And we were in then we had shenanigans because we were invisible.
There are shenanigans going on. The group, except for Aster, is currently invisible, trying to sneak your way through the tower. You'd managed to get into the tower. You're in the main atrium, kind of staring across at all of the various undead and other creepy worshippers of the Draco Liches, as we had ended. So we're going to actually start with Aster, because I believe the group had started heading upstairs to investigate what happened, but you had arrived a few hours after Aster, and therefore let's find out where Aster is at the point that happened. So first of all, Adela, how's your day going?
It's going great.
Good.
I wish there was a little more sun. We've got some clouds, but that's okay. I'm good. Aster. What's going on with Aster?
All right, so Aster, when last we left, you were heading down a spiral staircase into the area underneath the main atrium of the tower, going down into the dark. You had followed Barlow, who had pulled out a small object. You couldn't quite see what it was, and said a word, and it had lit up, illuminating the way down. And as you spiral down this staircase made of stone, it does come to a point where you start seeing, or ahead of you see a rail that begins to spiral around it as it opens up, and there are now metal stairs leading down into a larger cave below you. You don't see many details as your vision can't quite reach beyond. However, you do see some glimmering lights in a cluster below you.
Fabulous, because this isn't bad at all.
No, I'm sure it'll be
Nothing
fun.
bad can happen down here. It's like someone's chill basement, you know, just hanging out.
They're probably
There's
just playing some
snacks,
video
a big
games,
TV.
right?
Aster's concerned about her parents. She may not like being a part of a cult. She may want to have some more freedom. She can't stand Barlow, but it's her parents. She's gonna go for it. She's gonna go to help her bear friends.
Okay. So as Barlow leads the way, he is somewhat subdued. He's kind of been this way since getting to the tower. He's a lot less talkative than usual, and there's just this chill that emanates from the area around you. You definitely noticed it up in the tower above. However, as you go deeper into the depths underneath you, you just can't help but feel this cold sinking into your skin, into your bones. It almost seems unnatural. As you continue down the metal portion of the stairs, you see that this area is natural. It hasn't been carved out. It's a natural cave that goes down into what looks like a small chamber that has some tunnels leading off of it. The chamber itself has some magical lamps that hang from the walls, and as you get to the bottom, Barlow is stopped in front of you, and he takes a deep breath and he looks back at you, and he smiles, but it's this kind of wavering smile, and you can see it doesn't reach his eyes. There's definitely a hint of worry there. And he gestures towards a set of double stone doors that have been carved in the like of a bone dragon. And you can see a little bit of golden warm light kind of spilling from underneath. There's like a crack under the doors.
Now, how familiar is Aster with the bone dragon? Is this something where Aster should know most of like rituals and just the underlying want of the whole cult, because they were at one point
Right.
closer?
So I would say that having kind of grown up in the cult, your parents have been longtime cultists. I would say that you have a fairly decent understanding that, you know, the cult itself for centuries was raised around the idea of these prophecies that said that undead dragons would at some time inherit the world, they would rule over it, and therefore the cultists were kind of trying to speed that along and become the favored of those Draco Liches. And they worked to essentially convince dragons to become Draco Liches as part of their tenets, I guess. And so a lot of the tower itself is decorated with these motifs, this like skeleton dragons and bones in general. However, you did notice that the tower itself has become quite different since the living have vacated it for the most part. You're not completely sure what the current... what's the word I want to use here? Etiquette?
Well,
I think etiquette is kind of what I want to use, would be.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I feel like I already know something fishy is going on. This is probably not going to be easy where you just walk in and take the parents. So we're just going to Yeah, Aster's just gonna walk in there because there's no way to know what's coming without just doing it. So yeah, I'm gonna nudge Barlow in the rib and take a nice deep sigh and be positive and tell Barlow like you're doing great. You're doing great. Because I can tell that he's having some time.
Yeah.
Also, I can't stand him, but you know, this is her parents. She's gonna
Fair enough.
make this happen.
Real quick, thanks for redeeming the pupper treat, Raven. It has been delivered to her slobbery mouth. Libby appreciates it. So as you head up to the door, you just gonna like push your way in, open the door, and head in?
Yeah. I mean, not like I'm full of myself. I'm gonna, go in and a little bit slink on the side, but just try and suss out the situation a little bit
Okay.
as I go in.
So the subterranean areas of the tower were an area that you certainly didn't really visit much when prior to the schism between factions. So this is all kind of new to you, and as you open the door and kind of look in, there is what looks like a large meeting chamber. There's like a large table that kind of circles around what looks like a podium, like a speaker's stand, where some kind of lead speaker would be addressing the rest of the people at the large table, and it looks like the table itself is I don't know if hollow is the right, so it's kind of circular, but like the center of the circle is hollow, so like someone could step into it and walk around
like a donut.
Yeah, it's absolutely a donut. There's even some glaze dripping off the edges. Today's brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. No, just kidding. I was wondering how we were going to work that in. So as you step in, you see that there is no one like standing at the podium, but you do notice a robed figure. I'll have you do a history check while I explain the rest of this. There is a robed figure that is sitting at the table with your parents, who are also robed, and they actually are like heavily robed. They're wearing almost like, you can see some of their winter gear is actually on, stuff that they travel in when it's quite cold in the northern areas. However, it doesn't, like, it's not any warmer in here, but it does feel a little less bleak because of the lighting. And with that history check, you don't recognize this person. However, you do notice that this is a half dragon with kind of these dull, steely scales that just kind of dangle from loose flesh. And you do notice that one eye is missing. You definitely have the feeling that this is a undead fellow of some sort. And you can hear them talking, but you can't quite make out what they're saying.
Sure. Clearly a looker. Oh boy. I'm gonna walk over there because I can't imagine that I'd think that they're in like super duper harm yet. I can't imagine Aster thinking that yet. So I'm just gonna go ahead and walk on over.
Okay. As you're heading that way, you do hear Barlow step in behind you, and he kind of clears his throat. Mum, Dad, we've returned. And you see them turn. Make a... Actually, no, I'm not going to have you do a roll. Sorry. As they turn, it's obvious that there have been changes in them since the last time you saw them. So your mom is a half elf. She gets up and she rushes over and like stops and looks up at you. Your parents were always taller than you for the longest time, up until like there's like a growth spurt that you hit at a certain point where you just like shot up, and now you stand taller than both of them. And so as they approach you, they both look up at you. And your dad is a human. Both of them. Your mom has like really pale skin anyway, but she just looks like she hasn't been out in the sun for a long time. And your dad's darker skin has this kind of sickly pallor to it that's almost like you cut at first they're like the weird coloration of their skin and the circles and dark rings under their eyes and their sunken cheeks. For a moment you're like, oh, they've been turned into undead. Like it just hits you in the gut.
Yeah.
But as your mom like takes you by the shoulders and pulls you into a hug, you can feel the warmth of her. And your dad just kind of like stands behind her and looks at you and looks over at Barlow and waves. And you can see the light of life in their eyes still.
Sure.
But being here has definitely not had a good effect on their bodies.
They're not dead yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So Aster would probably like lean down a little bit to, complete the hug and sort of whisper in her ear, like, some kind of secret family code of like, are you in danger? Squeeze me once if you are. Or try and get some kind of like information from her that's
sure
not obvious.
Do an insight check for me.
Okay. Insight.
Okay. So she's already kind of like holding you anyway and squeezing you, and it doesn't change, but she does hold you for a long time, and then she pulls back and she smiles, but her smile is kind of wan, not trembling, but just like not her typical like robust smile. Your parents were usually fairly what's the word I'm going for here? Sorry. Expressive people.
Yeah.
And she lets you go and she looks at you. Oh, I am so glad you're okay. We heard that you had gone off to track some spies or something, and when we sent you off with the other faction, we thought everything was going to be safe for you, that they would keep an eye on you, but apparently they just felt it okay sending you off by yourself, and we were just concerned, so we sent Barlow to check on you.
I mean, that's really sweet of you, and I completely understand, and don't worry, everything turned out really great. We bonded a little bit more. We found a lot of amazing treasures, so I mean, in all, it's all right. But also, I thought we were supposed to have dinner, so it'd be really nice if we could go back and have dinner, because all my new friends, I mean, like, they're friends, but now we're closer friends. They're really looking forward to meeting you guys. And I know you're really protective about who I hang out with, so I'd really like you to meet all of them.
And your mom kind of nods, and she looks back at your dad, and your dad's looking at you, and he kind of eyes you up and down, and he says, "Oh, I see that you've been promoted. We hadn't been informed of that. That's fantastic." And he leans in and gives you a hug as well. Your dad being huggy with you is a little weird. He's not necessarily one that like isn't emotional, but like he's never really been a physical person. Like he'll, give a good tally ho and stuff, but he's not so much of a hugger. But you do feel his warmth as well. And as he like leans back and holds you at arm's length and looks at you, and there is a certain amount of pride there in his face as he notices your your new dragon claw garments.
Okay.
But you do, I'm not even going to have you roll for it, you do catch that they evaded your question.
Yes, fabulous. I'm going to push further and just say, well, I am super hungry, and I thought this was going to be kind of a quick thing. I've got to get back. So do we need to like talk to somebody, or can you, because it's dinner time, like who do we talk to go get dinner with my friends?
So as you've been talking, you didn't hear them approach, but you suddenly realize that this undead half dragon is standing fairly close behind your parents, and they turn and look and notice him. And your mom's like, "Oh, yes. So, this is Anzalin. He is the speaker of Anabraxas, and we've been in deep discussion about how to rejoin the cult, so it's splintered factions, and we're just hitting a lot of roadblocks, and if nothing else, we're just trying to get Anabraxas to send and she's stumbling a lot on her words, asked for, and that the cult, like Rezmir and all of them, the leaders of the cult, they don't really ask for anything. They let you know what is required to donate to the current fund needed for bringing back Tiamat. And so she's really kind of stumbling over these words. She looks tired. She seems like she's having a hard time kind of concentrating. And Anzalin steps forward in a raspy voice, reaches out a hand to grasp yours, and is just like, as he does so, you could feel the cold, even if you take his hand, you can feel the cold emanating from him. And in a raspy voice, he's like, the child of these two. I wasn't sure if I get to meet you someday.
I am not going to take his hand. However, I know this is bad. Like, this is a bad situation. So I'm going to kind of do one of those, like, not a full hug, but like a tap, tap, tap on the back. Like, it's so nice to meet you.
Right.
Tap, tap, tap. Why don't you come have dinner with us? We can all, go over there. I mean, you can travel quickly, right? I can't imagine that you wouldn't be able to. And I'm sure you absolutely want to know where I live, because that would be so fun. So maybe we should head back. And honestly, like, my friends were all set for dinner. We had this like long standing appointments to for my parents to meet my friends, because it's a big deal. Can we go do that? Or do we have to talk about something first? I mean, we've got like 30 minutes maybe. And then they're going to start without us. And then the whole evening is just throw it to the wind.
Dinner. These are things that escape my mind sometimes. I do not require sustenance myself, but I suppose you two would like to eat. It has been several hours, after all. And your parents both look at him. Go ahead and make an insight check. Let's see what you pick up. Okay. They both look at him kind of stony-faced. Not really smiling. If they do smile, it's very thin. Some dinner would be good, your father says. Anzalin gestures back towards the doors. It says, I will have something prepared.
Oh, so you're going to bring stuff like a potluck? That's even better. That's fantastic. My friends really like Jell-O. It's kind of jiggly, and you can put all kinds of things in there. Some people do it with like meat and vegetables, and that's super weird, but they like kind of the sweet berry kind.
Ah, yes, gelatin. Yes, I've heard it's made
You're
from
familiar.
from
You should, and I'm
horses'
going to look them up and
hooves.
down.
Yes. This way, and he'll start heading out.
Okay. Do my parents look like horrified, or are they kind of like, yeah?
They're just kind of like they look at each other. You do notice your mom's eyebrow like arcs and a like, like not really sure where this is going.
Sure. Nobody knows where this is going. Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
do you follow back up?
Yeah, I'm gonna follow back up. I want to get out of there.
As you leave the room, you notice that Barlow like steps out of the way of Anselin and just completely doesn't even look at him. Is just like, oh, what's that over there? And Anselin pays no attention to Barlow whatsoever.
As he should.
As he leaves the room, the lights in the room snuff out, leaving it in the dark. And so your parents, your mom can see in the dark, your dad can't, and neither can Barlow. And so you notice that both of them pull out little trinkets which light up, and they follow Anselin up the staircase.
All right. So everybody's coming up the staircase?
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
You get to the top of the stairs. You exit the iris, the like door that closes. After you do so, you hear Anselin mutter something, and the doors, circles shut, leaving the floor itself unmarked. Again, you wouldn't really be able to tell these are doors unless you knew. And he leads you on the same floor towards a doorway that is kind of like opposite the entrance. Once there, he says, I will have meals prepared and will meet you in the dining room. And he turns and walks away, leaving you with your parents and Barlow. And a bunch of skeletons wandering around.
So their dining room, not our dining room. Then.
Your dad says, that's the feeling I'm getting, yes.
I'm going to say, wow, that's so crazy that you have a doorway right to our dining room at our camp. Like, I didn't even realize that was a thing. Because all my friends are back at camp. So, I mean, cool. But I'd really like to know the mechanics of it. That's just the neatest thing.
I don't think he's planning to head back to the raider camp. But that's all right.
Is there
We would love to have.
possibility?
Oh, go ahead.
Is there a possibility that I might have any kind of sense that anyone I know is in here?
I would say you haven't seen anyone that you recognize, no. But well, okay, so like your family moved to the new faction after the schism. Do you have friends that remained in the old?
I mean, I would imagine that I probably knew some people, even if I didn't like them.
Okay.
Like, because I was all earthy and they're all like death and bones. And I mean, you can still like kind of joke around, maybe not totally get along, but,
Right. High or low?
High.
You don't see anyone in the area, and you haven't seen anyone since getting here that you know that stayed with the cult.
Okay.
Again, this isn't like there are cultists that travel about, especially with the separation with the the splintering of the factions and so much of the cult being in the new faction, the Tiamat supporting faction, having people out trying to convince dragons to become Draco Liches is just that much more important for this faction these days. So,
I think I'm going to fume. I'm going to be like, oh, hold on a second. I want to see if I know anybody, if they went to the same school with me, because it's been such a long time and I've been gone for ages. And I'm just going to be like, I'm just going to fume out. Like, this is Aster. I've come to say hello. Is there anybody that remembers me? You know, I had this class and this class. And I vaguely remember some like shenanigans and kind of describe some bizarre ritual that went wrong because I ended up doing like a nature thing instead of
right.
see if anybody answers me. But I just want to fume it out as loud as I can so people know that I'm here.
So your voice echoes through the atrium. It is several stories tall, and just kind of, there are some of the floors that exit out onto it. Not all of the floors that go up that are on the same levels as the atrium do exit onto it, but it just kind of echoes off of this open area and would go like into some of those like level 3 where where Barlow's room is, for example, would have access to this. So it's kind of like bouncing around through this area, and you get the feeling that if anyone that you knew could hear it, they would. And you don't see anyone. Like a couple of people on this level do kind of look over at you. You get the feeling they are living, as opposed to the skeletons who just kind of ignore what you've done. But no one is responding to it. No one's like, oh, what's up, Aster?
Yeah, that's okay. I'll follow up as if like someone did respond with no indication that like nobody cares. Yeah, I'm just gonna be like excited and just say like, well, we're having a potluck, whether you eat or you don't. We're having a potluck in the dining room. So I guess if you want to, come on down, the more the merrier. And then kind of smile at the people that I'm with, like, you know, right? The more the merrier. We're just gonna like hang out and have dinner. It'd be great.
Barlow smiles at you. Oh, that's the spirit, sister. Yes, I'm looking forward to some hot food. Hopefully it'll be hot this time. And your mom's like, you still you look a little road weary. Do we need to like go rest before dinner?
No, I mean, I guess we could. I guess there could be resting. I don't know. Could we all hang out in Barlow's room for a hot minute just to kind of like change and freshen up?
I would recommend someplace warmer, yes.
Okay. I'm going to make sure to talk. I'm going to say like, hey, Annie, can I call you Annie? Because I feel like we're special friends now.
He left.
He's already gone?
Yeah.
Okay. Then yeah. I'm gonna ask if everyone wants to go up to Barlow's room just to freshen up.
Okay. Yeah, they absolutely agree. And in fact, there's like a certain like, not hunger, but like they're like, oh yeah, let's go get warm.
Okay. Perfect. Done. Let's do it.
You did notice, like, as you're saying this, you did notice that there was a large, like, fairly enormous fireplace in that meeting room that was not lit. Like, it was obviously unlit and cold. And so they lead you up back to Barlow's room. As you step in, the fire is still going. It appears to be magical in nature, as it is not, it hasn't burnt down. And all three of them go over and like stand in front of it, or like, ah. And your dad's like, so, tell us more about this adventure that you had that garnered you this. And he gestures to your dragon claw outfit.
No, I'll try and give like a quick rundown that's like super vague, as if I really didn't know much of what was going on, and just be like, there's this house and there's these like were rats, and
Oh,
I mean, all of us kind of ended up there. And I mean, at a point, I was running through tunnels. I actually lost my stuff at a point, but there's a friend of mine that, I mean, we found each other in the tunnels, and it seems like we bonded a little bit more. It was really nice. So, um, that was great. And then once we found our way out, I mean, some stuff happened. I heard about a bag of holding in the house. I don't know. The house sort of dismantled itself a little, but it's fine. I bet it can be rebuilt. One were rat might have escaped, but maybe that's okay. I don't know, but we got a lot of loot for people. Everyone seemed really happy.
your dad
And
is
I
just
mean,
like,
in
oh,
the end,
that's all so fantastic. And Barlow is just like actually like listening to everything you say. But your mom is all like, where rats? Did you get bit? Are you okay? And she starts, like doing the mom inspecting thing.
like, no, I didn't get bit. It's all fine.
Make a
Really.
deception check.
All right. I just don't want the that's such a bad roll.
It is, but what's even worse is I rolled a 2. So your 6 beats my 2. Your mom's like, oh, that's so good. I'm so happy that you're okay. Here, she goes over and like pours some water into her pitcher. It's like a wash basin, and she gets a cloth and soaks it up and squeezes a little bit of water and comes over and starts like scrubbing your face. Even though like you kind of washed up afterwards, you can like feel the grime kind of being washed off. As you all didn't have like a whole bunch of time after getting back from the trail to like really chill out before Barlow teleported you here. So some time passes as you all converse. Is there anything that you want to ask them or do before we continue?
Yeah, I'm not really certain what the whole dinner situation is going to be. So I have, some food in my pack, and I'm just going to lie it out as if it's like a charcuterie and just be like, help yourselves. I brought some extra. I just carry extra because Willow gets hungry a lot when I'm with Willow. And then ask her mom. I think Aster would ask her mom, like, can you leave? Like, are you here because you want to be here? Because it seems cold and yucky. And you're so much better than this.
She glances at your father. And she sighs and she's like, it's complicated. It's definitely more complicated than that. We do want to be here. We're trying to heal this rift between the factions. It would be great if Anabraxis would come over and, give Tiamat her the respect she deserves, the worship she deserves. But it's been difficult convincing him, and he's rather put out by the splintering of the cult to begin with, and so keeping him here long enough to make a decision has been problematic. And so we've been meeting with Anzelin a lot, and it's just tiring. This place doesn't have the life it once used to, and it just seems to really drain the living.
Sure.
I know.
I mean, I hear
I could
what
use some
you're
sun.
saying. I hear what you're saying, but remember that thing that you taught me where like if your cup is not full, then you can't like help another, and like your cup doesn't seem very full. So wouldn't you need to like come back to have a little vacation and then get back to it? Doesn't that make more sense?
Yes, it does. Unfortunately, it just it seems that for the time being we are stuck here to take care of these things.
Like magically stuck? Like you physically can't leave?
Oh,
or
no,
like,
no.
Like you're making a personal choice for you guys, and you want to be in this sad, depressing place, and you love it, and you look terrible, and you love that. I don't love that for you.
No, I just know that after this succeeds, the rewards will be worth it. Praise Tiamat.
I feel like there should be some kind of fun gathering first. Someone is asking for chocolate.
I mean, that's fair. I would like some chocolate too.
I'm gonna have to do that for a moment.
Absolutely.
So you'll have to excuse me.
Sure. So while Adela feeds or pays tribute to that creature, I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't want to cut back to everyone quite yet because we might be at a place that you pays tribute to her warlock patron. Exactly.
I have now paid tribute to the warlock baby. She's happy for the moment.
Nice. So your father says, he kind of looks at your mother and he sighs and he says, we're not here under threat.
Okay.
And yet we are worried about leaving on poor terms.
Poor terms. Okay. I feel strongly that I hate seeing you guys look so sad. I personally would love a vacation where we can, go through the forest and maybe have some of our walks the way that we used to. So I would personally say that you guys staying here actually hurts me deeply. So I hope that you can think about it and take all the time that you want, but I feel like you would potentially would do better to leave and then come back. And then we could figure out good terms. That can work.
I feel like abandoning the talks now would be detrimental. However, if we had some way, if we had someone to replace us, and that's been difficult to find, we've tried, or some other offering that we could give Anabraxis in order to convince them to either hold off on their decision or just go ahead and sign the treaty between the factions, that would be great. Unfortunately, we just haven't found any of that yet.
What if we make a party for them, for Anabraxis, and get all the friends around, everybody in the cult, and it just kind of make it festive, and then use that as our situation to leave. Good terms, having a party, loving it here, loving them, loving everything about this, but also duty to your daughter, who hurts deeply because you're gone. And then we'll be back to say, hey, doesn't that seem like it might work?
I mean, at this point, we're kind of willing to try anything, but
I'm hearing yes, and I love it. Let's do it.
It might be some time before Anabraxis returns. They've been kind of, what's the word? Fickle with their time. How about we start with dinner with Anzelin, and we'll go from there.
That sounds fabulous. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm hearing yes. I'm liking it. I have yes in my heart for this. This is going to work.
You notice that Barlow has pulled up like 4 chairs to sit in front of the fire, and he kind of guides your mom over to one and sits her in front of it, and she props her feet up on a little ottoman that's in front of it, and she just kind of like snuggles into the chair and fairly promptly falls asleep. Some time passes. Your your dad like talks with you more about what's going on with the, asking information as far as what's been going on with you and that like group that you were moving with, not necessarily your direct friends, but the group that went through Greenest and everything. However, actually, sorry, not really. However, time passes, and then you hear a knock on the door. Barlow gets up and goes over and opens it, and there is a... you're not really sure what the skeleton is, like what species it is, but there's a skeleton there, not human, kind of strangely shaped, has 4 legs, kind of a squat centaur type body. Excuse me, but isn't like obviously isn't equine, so you're not really sure. But like the upper part is a kind of human-ish look, and it just kind of stands there and then rings a bell. And Barlow's like, "Dinner's ready."
Fabulous. Let's go down. And I think as Aster's heading down to dinner, she's just going to be kind of extra loud when she talks to her parents and talking about her friends. And I'm going to name, everybody. Chris and Vestra. And I'm sorry, Mika, I want to call you Lemoncello. Lemon Zest. From the last game. I'm just going to talk about everybody so much, very loudly and boomingly as we go down.
Okay. So, as you're doing so... So Chris and Vestra and Lemon Zest, the 3 of you are invisible. The 4 of you are invisible, technically, because Lemon Blossom is with you. Everyone is
And
gathered together, holding hands. I believe it is Tesha who is also with you and is holding on to Lemon Blossom's tail as Lemon Blossom leads the way up the staircase.
Yeah.
Above
Yes.
you, you hear a familiar voice talking about you.
Hey, we're close, everyone.
Oh, what? Wait, Aster sounds like excited though.
And it sounds like Aster is almost right next to you, but you realize that she's just using her magic to speak extra loud. After you have gone through the staircase a couple of rounds, you realize it's just echoing down.
Okay, well, let's pick up the pace. We're almost there.
So what do we do when we get there?
Oh, that's we didn't really think that far ahead, did we? Like in fog cloud?
Well, we're already invisible.
Right. I can identify.
Yeah, maybe let's hang back for like a second and then just see if Aster is in danger and or what danger, and then we can attack.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Soon you hear the clattering of strange footsteps, and this skeleton carrying a silver bell appears, followed by 2 humans, a half-elf, and Aster. Has anyone met, besides Barlow, Aster's family? Okay. So, you recognize Barlow because he was in the camp. The skeleton is actually I am going to let Vestra roll either a history or nature or arcana.
Oh, goodness. Okay, history or nature or arcana. Okay, well, they're all the same. So here goes nothing. Hey!
Nice. As the skeleton appears, you immediately recognize it. It has some kind of clawed feet that are completely stripped of flesh, but the way that it's built, you can tell that they used to, kind of be more like lizard feet as opposed to like hooves or something, or humanoid feet. And there's the remnants of a tail coming off the back end of this kind of centaurian body that's kind of squat. You realize this is some kind of draconic creature, or was before it was skeletonified. And then the living appear behind it. Aster is still talking about all of you, and there's some lights shining from the humans' hands, kind of trying to pick out where they're stepping. Obviously, they don't see any of you, but what do you do?
Vestra's gonna take off her little dragon pin. And is gonna just kind of toss it to the ground in front of Aster's feet.
Okay. Aster, what is your passive perception?
Let's see here. Passive perception. That's a whiz, right?
Yeah.
11.
11. Okay. So, Vestra, you do toss your pin. However, Aster steps right on it, doesn't seem to notice, and continues past you.
Vestra goes and picks up the now crushed pin.
Sorry. And what kind of shoes do I have on that I can step on a pin and not even think about it? What?
I mean, it's not like it's got a nail on it.
Yeah. The pointy side isn't facing up.
What is this debris? Crunch, crunch.
Wait, is Aster by herself?
No, Aster is with a skeleton, a human, sorry, two humans. One is Barlow, who you recognize, and a half-elf.
Let's follow them.
Okay, yeah.
As the light from the two humans' hands disappears down the stairwell, the 5 of you decide to follow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you get to the second floor, technically, the skeleton leads the group down a hallway that appears off to the left. Aster, you do know, having been here before, that it is leading you towards one of the multiple dining rooms. Probably towards the more private one, as opposed to there are some like larger mess halls where like just kind of general cultists would meet. It's leading you towards more of a where a large group could have dinner, but isn't quite so chaotic in nature. Like you'll sit around a single table as opposed to there being many tables and all of that. And you notice that there are lights, like warm lights glowing from the door as you get closer. As the skeleton leads you in. You notice the warmth kind of hits you again. Once you left the room up there, that biting cold set in pretty quickly, and it appears that there is a fire. There's actually 2 fireplaces, one on either side, left and right, that are currently lit and warming the area. You can smell some cooked meats, and as you enter, you notice that there are also what might pass for fresh vegetables and fruits sitting on platters. They're obviously not great looking, like maybe a little, they've been sitting around for a bit, but fresh as maybe you're gonna get here.
I mean, immediately Aster's kind of like, ooh, because she likes fresh fruits and vegetables, and she herself can actually bring the thicket of cucumbers to them. But, that's kind of like a process, and she kind of saves that for when she needs to, unless it's like a really mellow time. So, not going to do the thicket yet, but cool that they're trying to make it comfortable for everybody. Is this like further away? I mean, obviously it's a more private, but is there like less ways to get out of this dining room than the larger cafeteria area?
You've never been in this one like specifically, but you know that for each of the dining rooms there were like the service entrance that would go down to the kitchen. Some of them kind of wind through the walls of the tower, depending on how far from the kitchen they are. You know that this one is not directly above the kitchen, but it's fairly close, and it does have at least the one exit into that main hallway that you just came from as well. So at least 2 exits. Okay. And you do notice that as you're walking through, the hallway isn't abandoned, but the lingering undead are not here. So you don't really see like a bunch of skeletons just standing around. You notice that there are some posted guards that are just kind of like throughout the tower itself. These are just skeletons that remain inanimate unless needed.
Okay.
But every so often you see, like living people walk by, obviously wearing the cult robes of this faction, and they seem to pay you no mind other than to kind of glance curiously at you.
Okay. Aster's gonna be excited for some heat, and her parents need some heat and some food, I'd imagine, so she's gonna go for it. We're gonna go in and follow, as if it's cool, as if nothing bad is gonna happen, even though she knows something's gonna happen.
Okay. So as you go in, your mom sits down. She kind of stifles a yawn. She's still a little sleepy from her nap that she took, but she does pour herself like a glass of what looks kind of like an effervescent grape juice or something. It's kind of darker, and begins to kind of load her plate up. She's not even waiting for anyone else. She just like starts loading her plate up. And your dad starts to follow suit. Barlow holds your chair for you, like pulls a chair out for you.
What? Suck up. Gonna let him do that.
Okay.
And just keep that in the memory banks for later. Like, you really don't have to be a brown noser, man, and that's why I don't like you. But that's not said out loud. Don't need to talk about.
After he pushes your chair in, he does go over and pour your dad some, it's kind of an amber foaming liquid. You're pretty sure it's beer. And then he takes his own seat. The rest of you, as you get closer, you notice that the strange, like, centaurian, draconic, whatever skeleton, deliver these folk to this room and then kind of close the door, but not all the way. So they're like, there's 2 doors and they're kind of about halfway open. So there's this golden light streaming out. You do smell the food coming from within. It actually does smell rather delicious if you are into cooked meats. And then it walks away, just like clacking down the hallway.
Okay. Should we go in? We should go in, right? Yeah.
We should go in. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We should
all right.
go in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glad we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Lemon Blossom's like, no,
who's
I
in
don't
the
think
lead?
so. Just kidding.
Yeah. Lemon Blossom is like, I vote no.
Why don't we do a group stealth check? Mika, make sure to roll for Lemon Blossom as well.
Okay.
This is gonna be great.
Woohoo! Leading with a 7 for Tesha. Perfect. 6 for Shadow.
Oh jeez. Oh no.
Well, let's see what
Okay,
Lemon
14
Blossom.
for Chris.
I have to find his stats real quick.
Hi.
Okay, Lemon Blossom got a 14. I got a 7.
Nice.
Actually, I didn't roll with disadvantage. Hold on.
Oh yeah, because
no.
it could be worse. That's true.
Yeah, disadvantage is 7. Yeah.
Okay. So you all try and move through this door, and because you can't see each other, and you're all, still holding on to each other, but you're trying to get through the door, you do hear, like, the door swings open a little bit as Tesha runs into it, although you don't know it's Tesha, and then I feel like Vestra is the next one to run into the other door as you're like kind of stepping around to make sure you don't hit something. You kind of run into the other one. So both doors, Vestra, just kind of, or Aster, but you notice both doors just kind of swing open. No one else seems to notice. And that puppetry
I mean,
has
if I
been
notice
redeemed.
it, no one notices it. Do I need to roll to see if I feel the heebie-jeebies? Like if I can sense them in any way, or
You tell me. Do you feel the heebie-jeebies?
I feel like this place is pretty on the up and up for what it is. Nobody's hiding anything. So Thank you, sweetie. This is now going to help me. No, I don't feel the heebie-jeebies.
Yay!
Because I have this.
Yeah, you notice it. Maybe it's a draft coming in. These doors are wooden instead of stone, so it does, I guess. Yeah, hey, these things happen.
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of, because I don't feel the heebie-jeebies, so I'm going to try and kind of speak out loud to my mom, because I know everybody has the capability of like having this happen, to like go invisible or somebody coming in to check up. Like I've been gone a while,
Right.
so I would imagine that there's something trying to figure out where I am.
Okay.
So I'm gonna talk to my mom and just say, well, I'm really sorry that you feel like you need to be here, but let's find a way for all of us to get out of here with good feelings. And that big party idea, I think it's really gonna be a great way to make it feel good while we leave.
Around like what looks like it might be a turkey leg, not really sure. She's just like munching away, and she nods. She's like, yeah, I really like your thinking. I'm not sure that the undead dragon cares too much about a party, but you never know. It might be. I definitely know that Anzelin is kind of a stick in the mud. This is really delicious. Anyway, so I was thinking maybe, like if we've just been missing the thing that Anabraxis needs to be convinced. Like, what is it that we need to get him? And she's kind of talking with your dad as she's saying this, and they begin conversing while this is going on. The rest of you are kind of like mid-door as the doors slowly stop opening. What do you do?
Vestra. Vestra's been trying to be real good with the stealthing this whole time, but she's not the best at it.
What?
Is there anybody who's like where Aster is seated? Is there anybody sitting on either side of Aster? Or is
she is sitting next to her mom, and her dad is sitting on the other side of her mom. So it essentially goes Aster, her mom, her dad, and then Barlow actually sat across the table from them, almost kind of in the middle, so he would be across from her mom the most. Mm-hmm. He also is like heartily digging into his food, whereas her dad is like he's eating, but he's a little peckish about it.
Yeah. I think Aster would this time take one of her little dragon origamis out of her pocket and then would place it, like try to place it next to Aster's plate.
Okay. When Aster comes back, that will happen. What is Chris doing while this is going on?
I'm just gonna look around and see if, I don't know, I want to try to get a general feel for everyone, if there's any like malicious intent or just if there's any malicious intent, or like if anyone is like under duress.
Gotcha. Go ahead and make an insight check. Sirens start going off. You feel alerted. Just kidding. So with that 5, you're looking at them, and the obvious part is that her parents look rather exhausted, maybe a little malnourished. There is some the sickly pallor to their skin is faint, but it's almost like being here is kind of unhealthy, or has been unhealthy. You haven't seen humans and half elves that are this kind of like pasty and been healthy, so it's definitely weird. Mm-hmm. But you don't get the feeling that anyone is being malicious or anything.
Okay. I guess I will wait and see if the dragon gets noticed.
Okay. And what is Lemon Zest up to? You're muted.
I am trying to figure out a way to just get Aster's attention by being sneaky.
So as Lemon Zest is working on their thinks, Aster, a little
Okay.
origami dragon appears next to you as if from nowhere.
Okay. Do I know that origami dragons are anyone's particular specialty?
I mean, I feel like Vestra does this quite often. You might have a small collection of them. What you
Okay.
do with them is really up to you, but it definitely looks like either Tesha or Vestra's work.
Fabulous. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my hand on it and pull it in nice and close without showing anybody else that something weird just happened. And
You glance over and like both Barlow and your mom are like heartily eating. Your dad is like taking a long pull of the beer.
perfect. And I'm just gonna stick it in my pocket and just start sort of talking out loud. I'm gonna say thank you. And then, everybody, like, it could be taken any which way, but I'm gonna say thank you for that. And I'm so glad that you guys are here.
Barlow
And
looks
again,
up at
people
you.
could take
Oh,
it.
oh, you are so welcome. I am glad that you were here too, sister. Would you like some more drink?
No, thank you. That's all right, Barlow. That's all right. Don't worry. And then reiterate my plan again, like kind of reiterate everything that my mom told me and what our plan is. And if there's a different plan, that I'm open to hearing it. But then kind of just let out a sigh of relief and be like, again, I'm so glad that you guys are here.
Vestra, being the one right next to Aster, is there anything that you do in response? And then we'll get to Lemon Zest.
Not necessarily. I think Vestress is kind of gonna like stand there. And doesn't know what to do from here. It's like, this is as far as I planned ahead. I like this idea about a party, dragon party. Maybe like, I feel like I didn't let go of Tesha's hand.
Okay.
So like maybe like drag Tesha like backwards a few steps and then just like whisper about dragon party. Like, oh my god, this is our moment. We can throw a dragon party.
Okay. What is Lemon Zest doing? You did notice this origami dragon appear since you were like watching, and then it like disappears under Aster's hand as she pulls it towards her.
I'm just gonna poke Aster in the leg.
Okay. You feel a pretty blatant like poke from a finger, unless you're poking her with like a sword or something.
No, with my little claw.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Aster's gonna like totally pretend like nothing just happened, and where she thinks like Lemon Zest would be, sort of put her hands down and like pat, 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 and see if she can pat, pat, pat wherever Lemon Zest is.
Yeah.
What does Lemon Zest feel like?
Scaly.
Scaly with a faint scent of citrus.
Yeah, is
Yes.
there like so you're wearing like the goggles on your head?
Yeah.
So like
So you probably
yeah.
like hit the goggles. Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of hit
welcome,
it and,
follower.
and just sort of like, if we were in a dark room all together, just sort of like run my hand over the goggles and go, hello. Because no one's paying attention to me, so.
Is there anything that you do in response there?
Nope.
You just
I guess
You're just
now
like-
it's just the waiting game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. So as the dinner progresses, It's really up to all of you on what to do. There is no sign of Anzelin as far as you didn't know if he was going to be joining you, Aster.
I thought we had a little connection there. I thought for sure he would join, but I guess not.
He's hard to read. It's the whole like lack of
Sure.
expression thing
Sure.
from not having muscle control any longer. I've had that issue too, where I think we're really getting along. This is your mom. I really feel like we're getting along, and then just to find out that he doesn't really seem to care. He's pretty narrow-minded.
Okay. Well, as it progresses and Aster realizes that nobody else is really coming in, I think Aster's going to divulge to her mom, mostly, but obviously everybody, that her friends are in fact in the same room. But nobody knows because they're invisible.
Her eyes kind of dart around. Even though you say that they're invisible, it's just like, okay. Did they get clearance to be here?
I mean, they obviously did if they're here.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's...
No.
On the other hand, they are invisible, so that makes me worry. It's probably best to not... We got clearance for you to visit. I don't want to upset the talks or anything by having
This will
unscheduled
not upset anything. After everybody has eaten what they want, I think we should go ahead and get set up for a party. It'll be amazing. And honestly, more hands are better than less. So I'm really grateful that they're here. Also, they're all super high-powered, wonderful people. So I mean, what could go wrong?
She smiles at that, but doesn't say anything. That's nice, dear. So some time passes. They finish eating. Barlow leans back, under his breath burps. Your dad has had more beer than food, but that's not really weird. He's always been a bit peckish about eating, whereas your mom has doubled down on eating, and then finally pours a glass of wine, and is just staring at the fire. About this time, the rest of you appear. The magic is worn off.
Oh,
What
Yeah.
are you doing as you reappear?
Tesha and Vestra are sitting in a corner making party favors.
Okay. Chris, what's Chris up to?
I'm just standing with my weapon at the ready in case something happens.
Okay.
are we still this is still in the dining room?
Yeah.
Oh. I guess I'm just standing next to Aster,
Okay.
poking her leg again.
And you see that Lemon Blossom, even though he's made of metal, is just laying in front of the fire. His belly is just towards the fire, and he's just completely sacked out.
Yeah.
Barlow gives a small shout of alarm. Oh, wait, I know you. What are you doing?
We heard there was a party.
You heard that? That was amazing. What quick turnaround. I suppose I should... Yes, any friend of Aster's is a friend of mine. And there's definitely no... You don't even need an insight. There's a threat there. Not that he's threatening you, but you're gonna be his friend.
That's the
please,
noise that Lemon makes.
please sit down and eat.
If you insist. Probably because I'm so short, I'm probably gonna have to stand out my chair.
Oh, there are high chairs if you need one.
No,
And
I'm
you-
good.
And you know, a high chair is actually not like a child's high chair, but like they're taller chairs for short races.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Let me get you one. And he gets up and he goes off in the direction of that exit that goes down towards the kitchen. Shortly, he returns with a set of chairs that are taller because there's also a dwarf in the party, and whether the dwarf uses it or not, and a halfling. No, sorry, she's a gnome. She's a gnome, right, Tasha?
Maybe.
She's got blue hair. Anyway, he brings back some high chairs, and you're all welcome to eat what's there. There was definitely more food than the 4 of them could eat. Because after they're done, they can always reanimate the food rather than letting it go to waste.
I hate this. Thanks, I hate it.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. The necromancer way.
Yeah. No, Tasha's and Vestra is still in the corner. We're just like, we're turning out party. Like, there's a small mountain of like dragon themed stuff just surrounding us as we just are like hammering it out, you know, making little badges, making little patches, like making little paper-esque figurines, like, yeah.
Okay.
I love this. I feel like Aster is going to slowly try and find like another tablecloth, or take the tablecloth that everybody is using and just kind of scooch it and take it and use some of her like herbs as a paint and make like a really nice sign to just put up in that main room, that main area. I think that's a good place for the party. Just right there. Very pro, very positive, and then we'll get on out. We'll get on out.
So
I mean, sometimes people say that like experiences are like bigger and more powerful than anything you could receive, like a tangible thing. So there's a possibility that he may feel that this is so priceless that, I mean, we gave him all the gift we possibly could. You know,
Vestra, roll a history check. Since they're all the same. Well,
oh my
nice.
gosh. Okay. Well, now it's a good roll.
So you have, in your dragon fandom, and like how you've got like your little cards that kind of list, you know, the different aspects of the different dragons. You have heard of dragons who actually value experiences as part of their hoard. Anabraxis is not one of those. In fact, it's fairly well known that Anabraxis is really a greedy, power-hungry, gold-hoarding dragon. You're not really sure how Anabraxis would respond to being offered experiences over goods, but I will throw that out there. Also, as you were making this kind of darker skinned human heads over to you. He's kind of like, there's a sickly pallor to his skin, and as he gets closer, he looks down at what you're all doing, and then reaches out a hand and he says, "Well, I don't think we've met. I'm Ada. I'm Aster's father. I really like what you're doing here." And he actually kind of like pops a squat. He sits down next to like the two of you and starts like looking at what you've done. "Oh, I can. Yes, this is fine work."
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, we have a whole fan club, and we make these. I used to sell them in towns before I discovered other dragon lovers like me, and then I started traveling with them. Yeah, and it's been a positive experience so far.
I mean, yes, it's quite the group to be with, right? Quite the support group. When you're really gung ho about our dragon friends.
Yeah. It's a lot better than those Harpers. They just I don't know what their problem is, but they're just really against fun in general, I think.
I think that's their motto, actually.
Yeah.
We're against fun. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so while this is all going on, Chris, so you appeared, you have your sword. Do you sit down and eat when you were invited, or are you... What else are you doing?
I guess I'll sit down and eat. But I'm still gonna, have one hand on my weapon just in case.
Okay. Do you just, like, lay your sword, like, on the table, ready to grab it?
Yeah.
You do notice that, so you would have been essentially on Barlow's side. You sit next to Barlow, and he's just kind of watching everything at this point and listening. And Aster's mom pours like another glass of wine, nods at everyone. You can tell without any rolling, the alcohol is definitely starting to set in, and she gets up and goes over and pulls up like a chair next to the fire, sits down next to Lemon Blossom. The food itself is tasty, maybe a little bland, and like the vegetables and stuff they're just old. They're not like bad, they're just not super fresh. Lemon zest,
I mean,
what are you up to?
Compared to like what we get in the cult, is this...
So
I don't imagine we get like super fresh food.
Yeah, it depends on, like, after you've raided a village or something, it's usually really fresh, but then you go to, trail rations and stuff like that. You were actually looking forward to a, like, really nice dinner in the raider camp, because they do have a lot of the fresher stuff there, but then obviously you had to teleport here, and so you were a little worried about what this would be like, and it's not bad.
Yeah.
There are obviously, like, living in the tower, because they wouldn't have food like this otherwise.
Yeah, Lemon Zest just chows down.
Okay. So time passes, and the doors were already swung open from you running into them as you snuck in. And let's see. I feel like Vestra and Tesha and Ada are like closest to it, but you're also blocked by the door, so you wouldn't see this very clearly. The rest of you notice, except for Aster's mom, who's kind of like sacked out a little bit in a chair. The rest of you notice a robed figure enter. This is Anzelin. So Aster, you recognize him immediately, but the rest of you see this, looks like a half dragon at first, and at one time he was. However, he's now, his scales barely cling to what flesh he has left. The steel color is very dulled and just looks kind of like a lifeless gray. One eye socket is hollow, whereas the other one has just kind of a roomy, like, grayish eye. I see you have more visitors.
Yes, they heard me when I was yelling out. It's like when, some shenanigans that I was up to, and when I was here last. And I did say that there was kind of like a potluck thing, or if you're just hungry, come on down. And they showed up. Isn't that kind of fun? What a coincidence. I love running into old people that I know. This place is great.
As Aster's talking, he does walk to the end of the table, moves the chair aside and sits down. The closest to him are Chris and Aster as you're sitting there, but you are a couple chairs away from him. he does sit down there and looks at everyone. Vestra, you notice he turns his head to look in your direction, but it only is like the eyeless socket that turns towards you. You don't see his other eye. He hasn't turned that fur towards you. And then goes back to looking at everyone else, but definitely recognized that you were there.
Aster is just going to keep on talking and say, well, you know what we decided, because honestly, this dinner was pretty good. And you know, like a good dinner gets everybody talking. We're thinking it'd be really cool to have a party. What do you think? Wouldn't everybody love to have a party and we could just celebrate like being here and what this place stands for and what it's all about? I ran it by my parents and they seemed like a little bit hesitant, as like maybe it's a little bit frivolous, but I really feel deep down inside that sometimes people just need something fun to just shake it up. So look at all these amazing decorations already, and I'm working on the coolest banner ever.
So, Vestra and Chris, you notice that Aster's dad is like stood up when he came in the room and has moved over to stand behind Aster and Lemon Zest over by the fireplace on that side next to his wife, and kind of nudges her. She opens her eyes and looks around and like kind of blinks and blearily like sits up, obviously a little intoxicated. But then she, he helps her to her feet and they're staying there. She sets down the wine glass that's empty next to the chair, and they're just kind of watching this fellow. He doesn't respond to you, Aster. That one eye just kind of like stares at you. At least you think it's staring at you. It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. Aster is going to get up and head in his direction and tap him on the shoulder and say, "This is so fantastic, and I know it's a lot to take in because, I'm all about this, but when it's new for somebody, I get it. But I wanted to ask you what your favorite, aesthetic is. Are you modern? Are you earthy? Do you love fire, or is it more ice? Like, what makes you happy?"
He just kind of like gestures back at the tower itself. Like he kind of gestures back at the doorway and beyond. It's like, I find myself quite satisfied here.
That's so wonderful. So what that says to me is like a portrait of it, or like a little mini figurine of it. I wonder if we could make a bunch of like little mini figurines, but in some kind of like cool card that we can hand out to everybody. And then look like I'm just thinking for a little bit and see how he responds to that.
Your dad appears next to you. You didn't hear him walking up behind you, but he does put his hand on your shoulder and kind of smiles down at you a little awkwardly. My daughter has such wonderful ideas all the time, really trying to, spread the word. And you do notice that Angelin's head turns towards him. You get the feeling that there's like he is staring at your dad, even though it's hard to tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, where he's.
Your mom is lingering back at the fire, just kind of watching. And what is Vestra doing?
So, having heard like the information that Aster has given us throughout this dinner, Vestra's like on guard of like, this is not probably a person that we want to be in presence of for a long period of time. So Vestra's gonna start picking up like armfuls of these decorations that her and Tesha have made. She's just gonna look at Tesha and give Tesha like a little nod of like we gotta move. And then she's gonna go over to Chris and then just give Chris this giant armful of decorations and just be like, we should probably go start setting these up, and kind of like nod at Chris of like, we should leave, nod. And then, you know, she's gonna give like Aster's mom a handful. She's gonna like dump a bunch on Lemon Blossom of like, we are leaving this room.
So as you pass by, you definitely feel like just walking, even with the roaring fires on either side, as you walk by this skeletal half dragon, it just emanates this cold that is more than just a feeling like on your skin. Like it just kind of gives you the heebie-jeebies, going back to our earlier conversation. And then you give the stuff to Chris and just kind of start passing all this. During all of this, he's just kind of sitting quietly and waiting.
Aster's gonna go pick up one of the little emblem things that Vestra made and kind of try and bring it back to him and try and put it on his lapel thing, like if it's like on his robe. Aster's gonna put it on his robe and like pat him on the back and even give kind of like a little hug, like, this is so cool, and look at this, she made this, oh my god, and it looks so good on you. And then, you know, grab some more like the banner that she was working on and start dragging it out the door as well.
Okay. He allows you to do so. He doesn't say anything. Lemon Zest, are you following everyone, carrying stuff out, going with this?
Yes.
Okay. Chris, are you also?
Yes, I am gonna head out.
Okay. You do notice that your mom, Aster, does pick up a handful of the stuff and kind of follows you all out, but your dad lingers back behind and is kind of like standing there talking quietly with Anzelin.
I'm absolutely gonna be like, Dad, I need help with this banner. It's way too heavy for me. Can you help me?
Oh,
and I'm like dragging it, and it's falling. And
you're dragging it?
ah!
You're welcome. He like holds up a figure. I'll be right there.
Okay, Dad. Okay, but I really need the hand. I really need some help with this. Obviously, I'm just one person. This is a big banner. Let's get this done.
As you're talking, the doors slam shut.
For pity's sakes.
Everyone is outside except for your dad. Barlow is also... Actually, Barlow comes over and is like, oh, here, sister, let me help you with that. And, like, begins helping you carry. He's like, oh, it's not that heavy. Do you want me to just carry this for you?
Aster's going to take, like, the brunt of it all and just kind of like, cool, thank you, Barlow.
Oh, anytime.
Hey, Barlow, why do you think Dad is still in that room? And can you try the door and see if it opens up, please?
Oh, well, of course. He goes over and tries to push it open, and it doesn't move. And you notice that the golden light from the fires has gone out. There's no light coming out from under the doors.
Vestra's just gonna look at Tesha and be like, Tesha, do you trust me?
Of course.
Okay. We're in it for the dragons, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Stay close. And Vestra's gonna go over, because it's just a wooden door, right?
It is. I mean, they're large wooden doors, but yes, they are just wooden doors.
Yeah. So I would like to attack the door.
Okay.
And I do have my max damage.
Oh, nice. Use it or lose it, right?
Yeah.
So this is a hammer or an axe?
It's a warhammer.
Okay. So you smash the door, it like quite easily you hear a snapping noise as the lock cracks, and the door that you hit of the two both kind of like swing open a little bit, but the one that you hit just like kind of swings open further and more violently. And you see Aster's dad like look up in surprise as the door. They haven't really moved other than like he was obviously looking down at this half dragon and then looks up at you in surprise. The fires have gone out and there's just like some candlelight that are illuminating the table.
Aster's going to yell out really, really loudly, just, hey, thank you, Master, for doing that. We need to put the tinsel up in this door. I really appreciate it. Hey, Dad, I still need help with the sign. Like,
You hear the dragging of a chair as Anzelin stands up. Vestra, you're closest. You notice this like baleful blue flame flickering in his eye as he looks back at the door. And then everything goes silent. Like, you can hear Aster talking and then, like, just dead silence. And Aster, you're still talking. You're like... And you just can't hear it.
Vestra is going to go over to Aster's dad and then just kind of, like, shove him out of the room.
As you get closer, you can hear sounds again.
Okay.
And you begin shoving Aster's dad that direction. And he's like, I really don't know if this is appropriate. Maybe we should, finish our conversation with Anzelin here first. You've obviously like entered into the space that has been silenced. Anzelin is staring at the group of you. You're not really sure who.
It's because we're doing such a good job.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
obviously.
hard to watch all of this happen and not feel a sense of awe in just the littlest bits. Because, I mean, look at that productivity. Look at the teamwork. I mean...
As you're getting closer and Aster's like probably still talking, you do catch a glimpse of her mom's face, Vestra. She looks a little horrified.
Vestra takes Tesha's hand and then walks up to what's his name? No, the half dragon skeletal.
Anzelin.
Maybe we need to call Annie, but that's
walks up to him and it's like, excuse me, your skeletal dragonness. I apologize for the interruption. However, we, gesturing to me and Tesha, are here to report that we are taking the places of Aster's parents as the emissaries from the other faction of the Dragon Horde.
So while this has been happening, he hasn't turned his face towards you. He's still staring off towards the group outside. But at this point, he does tilt his head down towards you, and you notice that kind of like grayed out eye is looking at you, and the flame in his other eye socket isn't there any longer. And very barely you notice like the crease of like a brow raises. He doesn't have much of a facial expression. I hadn't heard there was a replacement.
Yeah, it's very recent. It just happened. You see, myself and Tesha were promoted within our side of the Hoard, and because of our vast knowledge and appreciation of dragons, the leaders thought that perhaps we could help further along discussions.
He thinks for a moment while he delivers this puppetry.
This is like a skeletal dog that comes out. And
Right? His face turns and it seems like he's kind of staring at the light of the candles. He's at least staring in that direction as he thinks for a moment. Then he's like, our talks do seem to have stalled with... I can't remember if your family has a surname, Aster.
You're muted.
I'm muted?
Oh no, Adela's muted.
Yeah, I'm not seeing one.
That's
So he says
good
things have
question.
stalled with Kasaria and Ada. Perhaps it would be good to have fresh faces at the negotiation table.
And I made you this pin.
Oh, another one.
another
Yes.
one.
Wonderful.
It looks so good, Vestra. Isn't she talented?
So the rest of you have seen all of this, but haven't heard any of it. Are you doing anything, Chris?
I'm just watching this unfold.
'Kay.
Can I try to make out, like, I guess, read lips or anything, or...
Sure, do an intelligence check, and it would really just be on Vestra, because
Alright.
the dragon face doesn't really have much of a... as far as reading lips, not really. I feel like there's been a lot of gesturing going on, because Vestra's been gesturing to her and Tesha, and then like towards Aster's parents, and then she's kind of like making, or they're kind of making, like, you know, staying here things. You get a general idea, but not any specifics whatsoever.
Okay.
And what is Lemon Blossom doing? Sorry, Lemon Zest. What's Lemon Zest doing?
Continuing to eat.
So you've all been like, you've all left the room, but are you like eating things as you carry them?
Yeah. I grabbed some rolls,
Okay.
little snacks, got them in my arm.
So as you're,
Can
go ahead.
I guess yeah, I'm with my passive investigation of 15. Can I read Vestra's lips?
What would be your passive intelligence? Just intelligence.
Oh, just intelligence. My modifier is a +3.
I'll give you that. You also get that kind of sense that they're gesturing about, you kind of picking up things about their offering to stay here in place of Aster's parents.
No, we're losing someone.
And as this conversation is happening outside the silence in the hallway, you notice the doors close once again. Those of you left in the dark of the hallway feel like something has changed. A chapter has closed while another is opening, as Vestra is leaving us to go be a real person in the real world, and we're going to call it there for this week. Shadow, thank you so much for joining us for this. I know we weren't sure when this might happen, and then, jobs happen, and now it is happening, but Shadow's gonna go be an adult.
No longer a dragon lover every Wednesday.
But should it ever be possible for you to come back, Vestra is waiting for you to be played. Tesha by her side. I was about to say something and now it fell out of my brain. Yay! Why don't we do a round of outros, starting with Shadow?
Hi, everybody. I'm Shadow. I've been playing Vestra, who's been your barbarian, ancestral guardian barbarian, and dragon lover. Yeah, and will now be trying to get peace between factions of dragon lovers. That's how she looks at it. We all love dragons here.
Right.
But I will no longer be here every Wednesday with these fabulous people. But you can always find me and whatever is going on, because I'm still doing TTRPG stuff. If you go to @Shadow Sylvia everywhere that's important, you'll probably find me, and that's what it'll be.
Nice.
Thank you all. This has been a fantastic 13 episodes.
Hooray! It's been a pleasure to have you here with us. Thank you so much. I know we're on a time clock for Mika, not Lemon Zest. Mika's got to go. So Mika, hey, do your outro.
I can be a little late. Hi, I'm Mika. I do things. I am the co-creator of the Crit Award nominated channel Roll D5, where you can also find Shadow. We've on Thursday and Friday we've got games. I won't be in the Thursday game, but they'll be playing Morkborg. Then Friday you can catch me playing Sleepaway. So yes, and you can also catch me right now on the podcast The Heart is a Dungeon,
Nice.
season 2, where I play a fae that looks like a raven that's smoking.
Like, I'm a raven. Nice.
And he says "ka" a lot.
Excellent. Chris, why don't you tell us all about... Sorry, not Chris. See, this is where my brain is just gelatin today. Mick, who plays Chris, tell us about yourself.
I'm Mick, and I play Chris, the Drow Rogue. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you can find me on Twitch at Micktastic, or on Twitter at Baron_Von_Milk. And that's it.
Huzzah! Thank you for joining us today. And last but not least, Adela, tell us about yourself.
Yes, I'm Adela. I've been playing Aster with these fine folks. I'm so grateful to be here. As far as what I do, I make children's clothing and costume at bellabeekids.com. And there's other socials attached, but we'll just start off with that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you once again, Shadow. Hope to be at a table again with you soon. I will see the rest of you back here next Wednesday. For those of you watching, make sure you hit that follow, subscribe, whatever it's called button. Also, if you want to, go over to YouTube. The link is in chat. Follow us there because we're trying to hit our 500 follower mark. That'd be awesome. What else? This Friday would usually be Daggerheart. However, we're taking the week off because people are on vacation. People do those still. What's up with that? People are allowed to do that. Just kidding. I'm so glad that people get to have the time off and go do things. So nothing on this Friday. So head over to Roll D5 and follow them and watch that stuff because it's going to be awesome. And then on Saturday, back here at 8 p.m. Eastern for part 2, the finale of Mothership with 19 Hertz. Going to see how that goes because I'm sure it's going to be a gigantic mess. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks everybody for watching. We will see you next time. We're going to raid over to catchy cantrips, I think, unless Yep, let's raid catch a cantrips. Raid! Just kidding.
Oh no.
It would help if I can spell correctly.
That's not an easy one to spell, though. I mean, you know.
There we go. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Right.